Did you know the original Panda 4x4 and the four-wheel drive system was engineered and developed by Saab? Now you know. I do hope everyone is well. The first piece of motoring news I have today is my favourite manufacturer that likes to sue old people for owning a classic car. Jaguar Land Rover have announced they're going to put their supercharged V8 into the new Defender, which is interesting considering just a few days ago they announced their strategy to go completely EV from 2025, I think it is. So yeah, they probably have a stack load of V8s that they need to get rid of within that time frame. Kind of similar when Porsche decided to stop using diesels. They had a shitload of V6 diesels left over, and that's why we got the diesel-powered S4, excuse me, and the diesel-powered S6. Some people are crying foul why they are releasing a V8 Defender days after this new strategy was announced, and why they don't just bring out an EV Defender. There's no doubt the EV Defender is only around the corner anyway. I say hats off to them. You know, let's celebrate these V8s while we can. Would it be better suited in a more sporty car rather than a slab-sided SUV? Yes, but they will sell loads of them definitely in America and places in the Middle East where they have lots of cheap oil. That's enough of the Jaguar Land Rover bastards. They still haven't dropped that court case. Slightly much more boring news. VW are now opening the order books for the 2021 Tiguan Or. Yeah, if you need a Golf Or that is slightly higher up, heavier, less efficient, less fun to drive, more expensive, and have actually less room on the inside, yeah, you can order a Tiguan Or instead of a Golf, if that's how you feel. Another announcement though from the Volkswagen Audi group, and again it's from the Cupra sub-brand of Seat, which used to be Seat Cupra. They've announced the Cupra Leon TSI 2 liter, I think is what yeah. Anyway, it's a crap name, but basically it's the Golf GTI equivalent Cupra Leon. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's gonna have, I think, 300 horsepower, front wheel drive though, but with the VAC diff up front. It's gonna be DSG only. Yeah, I don't think the current generation Leon is quite as good looking as the previous model, but of all the newer Volkswagen Audi Group performance cars, it's definitely the better looking one. It's a bit generic, but you know, it's inoffensive. The more power, the better looks. It's going to be cheaper than a Mark 8 Golf Club Sport, especially if you option what are considered, you know, necessary dynamic dampers, adaptive dampers. They come as standard on this Cupra. Yeah, cool. You know, not to 60 in under 6 seconds, 300 horsepower, more hot hatches, the better. I wish I had a manual, but you know, hey ho. I would rather have that than the Mark 8 Golf, because the Mark 8 Golf is just goddamn hideous. Some motorsport news again, this time it's not about Formula 1, well, a little bit, but mostly not. And it's really, really exciting news, which is nice. Ferrari have announced that they are going to join the top class, which is now called LMH and LMHD. There's going to be two variants of how you approach the top tier of the World Endurance Championship. The World Endurance Championship, for those who aren't up to date, you know, it's the global series consisting of 6, 12 and the Jewel in the Crown, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. They have decided to change their regulations starting actually this year, but it's not really going to come fully on song as people join until like 2023, which is when Ferrari are going to join. And Ferrari are going down the LMH, excuse me if I'm getting these abbreviations wrong, but basically the two different variants of class. The LMDH is kind of more of a spec. You'll have a choice of a couple of different chassis that you can choose from, a couple of different powertrains, and then the manufacturers can devise their own body and aerodynamics around it. Porsche are going down that route. I think possibly Audi as well. But Ferrari are going to go the full hog. They're going to make their own from scratch prototype hypercar. There was all of these regulations that they're bringing in are a bit confusing because they announced it a couple of years ago and then change this, bring that in, change this. This is going to happen, blah blah blah. It's a bit of a minefield as to finding out what's exactly going to happen. But there was talk of that they have to produce limited numbers road going versions to take part in this category. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But anyway, Ferrari back at Le Mans in 2023, which conveniently is 70 years since they last participated in Le Mans. They came second that year with the what car was it back then? It was the 312 PB. It was being driven by Carlos Pace and the ever eccentric Stetson wearing Italian Arturo Mezzario, and they came second. I think they had a fuel line problem or something which dropped them down the order. It was won that year, 1973, by Henri Pescalaro, who most people, if you're interested in WEC, you'll know who he is, and Gerard Larousse. They were driving the snappily named Matra Simca MS670B. The last win that Ferrari had was in 1965. The car then was the 275P2, I think it was. I can't remember who was driving. Who was driving back then? Jochen Rindt, God rest him. Mastin Gregory and Ed Hugas, who I've never heard of. Actually, I think that might have been an LM, 250 LM, which is a beautiful, beautiful car. The 250 LM, one of the greatest Ferrari sports cars of the 60s, the heyday of the heyday of the car and motorsport, really. And then, of course, Ford came along in 1966 and then had a slew of victories. And Ferrari haven't really participated in the top tier. They have the World Endurance Championship has the top tier, which is going to be these hypercars. Then there is GT. Well, there's LMP2, which I think is getting mixed into. As I said, this is all very confusing. But there's also a GT class, which is essentially road cars that are turned into race cars. There's a lot of changes, but you would recognise them as Ferrari 488s, Porsche 911s, Aston Martin Vantages, etc., etc. Ferrari have been involved in that for many years. They haven't done. They've ever actually stopped. But they're all privateer teams, although AF Corsa is quite close to a factory team as you can get. But this is actually, the press release that Ferrari brought out was a bit vague. They just said they're coming back. They're going at it whole hog. They're going to develop a full-on hybrid, not a hybrid, but a prototype race car. Whether it's going to be with a customer team, or it's going to be a full factory outfit, blah, blah, blah. This is all coming together because as of this season, Formula One is bringing in a budget cap, which is going to be staggered. It's going to reduce over the next couple of years. So rather than sacking loads of staff, what a lot of manufacturers are going to do is shuffle resources into different categories, and this is why Ferrari are taking part in the World Endurance Championship, and it's brilliant. I can't wait. We're going to have Peugeot, Audi, Porsche, Ferrari, Glickenhaus, which is by, what's his first name? Is it Steve Glickenhaus? A billionaire who likes his cars. He's building his own prototype. Jim Glickenhaus. And there's a few others in there. I'm already starting to fall behind with the information that's coming in thick and fast. But 2023 World Endurance Championship, and especially the 24 Hours of Le Mans, will be really interesting. I've rambled on a bit. This news is very exciting to me, so I do apologise. I'll move on now. And just a little bit more motorsport news. When they brought in the new hybrid powertrains into Formula 1, the 1.6 V6 turbo hybrids in 2014, the power unit that Mercedes developed was the class of the field, 2014 all the way up until 2019. And then all of a sudden, it seemed that Ferrari had caught up, and the power and speed they got out of their engine, not only in the factory team, but their customer teams, Alfa Romeo and Haas, also saw big performance gains. And it looked like Ferrari had taken the lead when it comes to the power unit. But some people cried foul, saying they were doing something untoward. Max Verstappen from Red Bull was quite vocal about it. He straight up said they were cheating.
Dichter bij die Mercedes'en, Ferrari opeens er niet bij.
Ja, maar ja, dat is als je stopt met vals spelen natuurlijk. Maar ja, dat is nu eenmaal goed naar gekeken. Dus moeten we nu natuurlijk wel in de gaten blijven houden.
There was an FIA investigation, and it took a couple of weeks, and then they came out saying that there was an investigation and that the FIA and Ferrari had come to an agreement, a private agreement. We don't know what it was, but then after the agreement was arranged, all of a sudden Ferrari's power performance disappeared, and last year, when it really took into effect, they really fell down the order. Ferrari finished 6th in the Constructors' Championship. Their power unit was by far the slowest of the bunch. Mattia Binotto, who is the chief of the Formula 1 team, he said they've sorted out these issues, and he's quite confident that they're going to take a big leap in 2021. Mika Salo, former F1 driver who actually had a brief stint with Ferrari in 1999 after Michael Schumacher broke his legs at Silverstone. He was on a Twitch stream with Peter Solberg, WRC champion in 2001. Peter Solberg, I'm sure you're aware of him. And they were talking on Twitch. And Mika Salo claims that the penalty that the FIA imposed on Ferrari for whatever their misgivings were in the power unit was to reduce the fuel flow they had. So essentially they had less fuel they could use in a race. And when you're driving flat out in any racing car, you know, if you want to go as fast as you can, you need as much fuel as possible. And apparently that's no longer going to be an issue as of next year. So you gotta love a good conspiracy theory. It's a strange situation, but hey, that's part of Formula 1. Yes, the racing is amazing and the engineering is amazing, but it's a big giant soap opera as well, and that's part of the reason why I watch it, amongst all the other reasons. But yeah, look, it's part of the fun. You can't take it too seriously. Anyway, that's enough motorsport news, as I'm sure a lot of people don't really give a shit. But if you do, there you go. Now you know. So, to the classifieds. So I mentioned that Land Rover Defender with the V8. That's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. So what if you haven't got... I think it is how much are they going to charge for this Land Rover? Jeez. Like, it's not a cheap car to start with, so no doubt the range topping V8 is going to be something else. It's going to start at £151,000. What if you don't have that kind of money? Well, you could, say you only have a budget of £5,000, but you want a V8. So I went on to the classifieds. The first thing that I found was 4950 NCT'd until I think it's there's a fresh NCT on until March 2022. What's the mileage? 160,000 miles, which is high, but it's a 17-year-old car, 2004. Jesus. It's a Audi A8 with the 4.2 V8, which we're all like, if you've ever heard that 4.2 litre V8, it's a beautiful sounding engine, and it's actually it's known for being quite a reliable engine too, which is good when you're taking the plunge on a V8. The aftermarket wheels are questionable, and the ride height is it's quite high. Whether the wheels are smaller than standard, but yeah, it looks like it's it looks like they're going for like the pseudo kind of crossover look, or maybe they plan on going, I don't know, doing the Dakar in it or something. But yeah, that could be. Look, the V8's not gonna be around forever. So you know, if you got £5,000 in your pocket, that could be a steal. You'll pay upwards of €1,800 road tax, or you can whip the seats out of the back and try and register it as a commercial. Now, if you're feeling really brave and the Audi doesn't do it for you, we have, for the same price, 4950. Slightly less mileage. This one's 140,000 miles. The ad says the NCT has been out since May of last year, but this is a BMW 6 Series with the 4.4 litre V8, so it's a 645 Ci. I think these 6 Series have aged fantastic. I think I love the wheels. Resale grey is a bit boring, and it's got black leather interior, but again, you know, V8 for less than £5,000, you probably wouldn't be able to, you know, swing it's a commercial, sir, in a 2-door coupe, but hey ho. And also, that generation of 6 Series, that generation of BMW aren't exactly famous for being fault free, but hey, that's all part of the fun, isn't it? Yeah. Now, while I was searching through to find V8s, obviously I had to put the criteria. I put the engine size down at a minimum of 4 litres to see what kind of big capacity engines jumped up. So this isn't technically a V8. It's this last choice I have for you, but I couldn't ignore it. Now, it isn't Derry, so it is on a UK plate, so you would need to VRT it. It's 2007. It's only got 16,500 miles in it. It's a manual, black, from a dealership. I'll just come straight out and say it. It's a Dodge Viper. It's the 2nd generation Dodge Viper, which I don't think looks as well as the 1st generation. It's the SRT 10, which I always thought was the drop top, but I think this, or is it got a removable hard top? It looks like it's the coupe, which is good. I would prefer the coupe. I always thought the SRT was the convertible version, and then the coupe was GTS. Maybe that was just in the 1st generation. Now, it is black. You know, I think if you're going to get a Dodge Viper, you should get it in some Larry colours and with some racing stripes. But yeah, who doesn't want an 8.3 litre V10 rear-wheel drive sports car with a manual gearbox? An engine developed originally by Lamborghini. Yeah, I can't see what could go wrong with that. It's got side pipes, goddammit. You know, I'd imagine the VRT wouldn't be cheap. But again, they're only looking for, well, they're looking for 50 grand sterling. But hey, it's basically only run in 16,500 miles. And who doesn't want a V10 in their life? I know I do. Again, I'm getting slightly cheeky here with this last classified. This is my classified of the day. It's on the Collecting Cars website, which is an auction website that you all might be quite familiar with. It's co-owned by a certain Chris Harris. This car is in Hamburg, Germany. So that means it is left-hand drive. It's the current top bid on it is €10,850. As I speak to you now, there is only 2.5 hours left on the ad. So if you're watching this video at all, if you've got this far in the video, you might, it might be too late. If it's anything after 7 on the, what date is it today? The 25th of February. You've missed out on this. But if it's before 7 on Thursday, the 25th of February, you could come in and sneak this one. But anyway, less of that. What it is, it's an E36 BMW M3 Saloon that's been race converted. It was used as a instructor's car at a track. It's got 63,000 kilometers on it. It's a 5-speed manual. I'm not sure if it's road legal, but who gives a damn. The thing that really did jump out at me though is that the color they say it is it's a red, which I thought was electric red. I think it's what it used to be called. Is Japan Rot, which apparently is a shade of BMW red. Strange name, but there you go. It's Japan Rot. So if you want an E36 M3 that's basically a race car for the road, get onto collecting cars and put a bid in. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. I hope you've managed not to fall asleep again in this glorious episode number 7 of this bullshit. I'm considering also making an audio version of these. I might get around to it this weekend if I have time, although I am working. An idea sprouted to Pork, who's been watching these and liking and commenting on them. Thank you very much, Pork. Judging by your Instagram profile, you live in Spain, which looks glorious. So yeah, I am going to consider possibly doing audio versions, maybe even a slightly longer version with some other bullshit. And I'll try and get maybe a slightly better audio quality if I'm going to be putting it out in audio. But anyway, something to consider if you want to continue listening to me ramble on about bullshit about cars. But until then, be safe, be well, and I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.